Hey everyone, welcome back to Native Speakers Channel. I'm Sarah, and I'm so excited you're here with us today. We've got a really interesting conversation lined up for you, and I think you're going to learn a lot of useful English along the way. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Johnny. So today we're talking about something that actually connects to many aspects of our lives, and that's the topic of love. But we're also going to explore how taking control of your life relates to love, relationships, and personal growth. Sound good?
Absolutely. You know, Johnny, I think love is one of those topics that everyone can relate to, but it means different things to different people. When you hear the word love, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
That's a great question. I think the first thing that pops into my head is connection. You know, that feeling of being really understood by someone. But love isn't just about romantic relationships, right? There's love for family, friends, even love for what you do.
Exactly. And I think that's where taking control of your life comes in. Because when we talk about love, we also need to talk about self-love and making conscious choices about who and what we allow into our lives.
That's so true. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say they keep ending up in the same type of unhealthy relationship over and over again? That's usually because they haven't taken control and really thought about what they want and need.
Right. It's like they're on autopilot. They're not actively deciding what's good for them. So let's break this down a bit. When we say take control of your life, what does that actually mean in the context of love and relationships?
Well, I think it starts with self-awareness. You have to really know yourself, your values, your boundaries, your deal breakers. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything, as the saying goes.
I love that saying. And it's so relevant here. Self-awareness is huge. But I think a lot of people struggle with this because they've never really taken the time to sit down and figure out who they are and what they want.
Absolutely. Society puts so much pressure on us, especially when it comes to relationships. There's this expectation that you should be in a relationship, get married by a certain age, have kids, and sometimes people rush into things without asking themselves if that's what they actually want.
Oh my gosh, yes. The societal pressure is real. I remember when I was in my late 20s, family members kept asking, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? And it made me feel like something was wrong with me because I wasn't following that traditional timeline.
How did you deal with that pressure?
Honestly, it took some time, but I had to remind myself that my life is my own. I had to take control and say, you know what? I'm going to do things at my own pace when it feels right for me. And that was really empowering.
That's a perfect example of taking control. You didn't let other people's expectations dictate your choices. And I think that's something everyone needs to learn, how to set boundaries even with people you love.
Boundaries. That's such an important word. Can you explain what you mean by boundaries in relationships?
Sure. Boundaries are basically the limits you set for yourself about what you will and won't accept in your relationships. For example, maybe you have a boundary that you won't tolerate being yelled at, or you need alone time to recharge, or you expect honesty and open communication.
And those boundaries can look different for everyone, which is totally fine. What's important is that you know what yours are and you communicate them clearly.
Exactly. And here's the thing, having boundaries doesn't make you difficult or high maintenance. It actually makes you healthier and easier to be in a relationship with because people know where they stand with you.
That's such a good point. I think some people are afraid to set boundaries because they worry they'll push people away or seem demanding.
Yeah, but if someone can't respect your boundaries, that's actually a red flag. That's not someone who's good for you. And recognizing those red flags is another part of taking control of your life.
Let's talk about red flags for a minute. What are some common ones that people should watch out for in relationships?
Oh man, there are quite a few. One big one is when someone tries to isolate you from your friends and family. That's a classic sign of a controlling or potentially abusive relationship.
Definitely. Another one is when someone doesn't respect your boundaries, like we just talked about. If someone tells you something makes you uncomfortable and they keep doing it anyway, that's a problem.
Right. And what about inconsistency? Like when someone's actions don't match their words. They say they care about you, but they're constantly canceling plans or not making time for you.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Actions speak louder than words, as they say. If someone really loves you and values you, they'll show it through their behavior, not just tell you.
Absolutely. And I think another important aspect of taking control is knowing when to walk away. Sometimes we stay in situations way longer than we should because we're hoping things will change.
That's so true. There's this idea of the sunk cost fallacy, where you've invested so much time and energy into something that you feel like you can't leave even though it's not working. Have you ever experienced that, Johnny?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was in a relationship years ago where we had been together for about 3 years, and honestly, the last year was pretty miserable, but I kept thinking, we've been together this long, we can work it out, I put so much into this.
What made you finally realize it was time to move on?
I had this moment where I asked myself, if I met this person today, knowing what I know now, would I want to be with them? And the answer was no. That's when I knew I was just staying because of the history, not because of the present or future.
Wow, that's a powerful question. Would I choose this person today? I think everyone should ask themselves that periodically, even in healthy relationships, just to check in.
For sure. And you know what? After that relationship ended, I spent a lot of time alone working on myself, and that was one of the best things I ever did.
I love that you bring up spending time alone. I think in our culture, there's this fear of being single, like it's something to avoid at all costs. But being single can actually be an incredible opportunity for growth.
It really can. When you're single, you have the chance to really get to know yourself without the influence of a partner. You can figure out what you like, what your goals are, what makes you happy.
And you can practice self-love, which I think is the foundation of all other love. If you don't love and respect yourself, it's really hard to have healthy relationships with others.
What does self-love mean to you, Sarah?
For me, self-love means treating myself with the same kindness and compassion that I'd show a good friend. It means taking care of my physical and mental health, setting boundaries, pursuing my passions, and not settling for less than I deserve.
Those are all great points. And I think self-love also means being okay with being imperfect. We all have flaws and make mistakes, and that's part of being human.
Yes, self-love isn't about thinking you're perfect. It's about accepting yourself as you are while also working to grow and improve. It's a balance.
Speaking of growth, I think personal development is a huge part of taking control of your life. When you're constantly learning and evolving, you become a better partner and a happier person overall.
Absolutely. And it's attractive. When you're someone who's working on themselves, who has goals and interests, that draws the right people to you.
That's the thing. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally attract better relationships. It's like the saying, you attract what you are, not what you want.
Ooh, I like that. So if you want a partner who's ambitious, kind, and emotionally healthy, you need to embody those qualities yourself.
Exactly. You can't expect someone to bring something to the relationship that you're not willing to bring yourself.
This reminds me of another important point about taking control. Being proactive rather than reactive in your life and relationships. What do you think about that?
That's huge. Being proactive means You're making conscious decisions about what you want your life to look like rather than just reacting to whatever comes your way.
Right. So in relationships, that might mean actively communicating about issues before they become big problems, or making time for date nights instead of just letting the relationship coast on autopilot.
And in your personal life, it means setting goals and working toward them rather than just drifting through life hoping things will work out.
I think a lot of people struggle with this because being proactive requires effort and sometimes uncomfortable conversations.
Oh, definitely. It's much easier in the short term to avoid conflict or difficult decisions, but in the long run, that usually makes things worse.
So true. You know what else I think is important when it comes to taking control is learning from your past experiences, especially your past relationships.
Oh, yeah, this is critical. Every relationship, whether it worked out or not, teaches you something about yourself and what you need in a partner.
Exactly. Instead of thinking of past relationships as failures, we can view them as learning experiences. What worked? What didn't? What patterns do I need to break?
And this requires honest self-reflection. You can't just blame the other person for everything that went wrong. You have to look at your own role in the relationship dynamics.
That can be really hard to do. It's much easier to make yourself the victim of the story rather than acknowledge where you might have contributed to problems.
For sure. But taking responsibility for your part is actually empowering because it means you have the power to change things in the future.
Yes, if everything is someone else's fault, then you're powerless. But if you